Here's how to rebalance and prep a nail for long wearing results. This nail had been on for 6.5 weeks, and while I do not recommend going 6 weeks between appointments, I'm going to show you how I prep my nails for long wearing success with the Light Elegance hard gels. First, we start by cleansing. Always cleanse a nail before you do any prep service to avoid oils and contaminants being pushed into the nail as you prep the nail. I then start by filing the free edge. So of course you can file as much as you want depending on your client's requirements. I always make sure that I leave a little bit of extra length because I always recommend filing at the very end of the service. So don't take them down exactly as short as your client wants them, just a little bit longer to allow for that filing at the end. Next, I'm going to remove the decoration on the nail. So I'm removing the colour ombre and the chrome that I applied over this nail. You can see it comes off really quickly and easily with the speedy bit. I'm using this at 15,000 RPM. So you can use this bit with the Zippy at a fairly low speed with really good results. The Zippy is a really high powered machine, so you don't need to use it as high of an RPM as some E-Files. So you can see that came off really quickly and easily, and I'm now just rebalancing slightly, just thinning out the area over the free edge to move the apex back. And you can see here that even though the nail has been on for 6.5 weeks, that there is no lifting whatsoever. So let me now take you through my prep routine. I start with the cuticle pusher. I'm using the LEpro Cuticle Pusher, just using that to push back the proximal nail fold and start that non-living tissue removal. I then use the blade end of the cuticle pusher just to start again that removal process of the non-living tissue from the nail. So just using it very quickly just across the nail just to start lifting that non-living tissue away. I then start my E-File manicure. So I'm using the itty bitty bit here to remove the non-living tissue from the nail and getting right in close to the skin. So this is going to remove all that non-living tissue that you can't really see by eye and make a really clean finish around the skin. So I'm using this on 8,000 RPM, no higher is needed. I don't recommend going over the nail too many times. I like to just do a couple of passes and then brush away the dust, have a look at what is remaining on the nail, and if you can see any white loose areas, just go back over with the itty bitty in that particular area. Once I've finished in that direction, I'll switch the direction of my Zippy and then repeat the same process on the other side, coming around the proximal nail fold and down the side to remove that non-living tissue from the nail and around the proximal nail fold. I then move on to Cutie Patootie. This will begin to lightly buff the skin around the proximal nail fold and down the sides, and it also helps to lightly prep the natural nail, which means that you're going to get that matte finish on the nail surface right up to the skin, which gives you a really effective prep and reduces your chance of lifting. And this bit I use on 7,000 RPM, no higher. And the last step of my E-File manicure is the Buffy bit. So this bit I use around the skin. Do not use this bit on the nail because it is circular and you do risk damaging the natural nail. So this is just for use on the skin. I'm just using this to remove any dry areas of skin. My skin is extremely dry at the moment just because this weather is all over the place and my skin doesn't know what the hell to do. So I'm just using this to lightly remove that. I use this at around a 7,000 to 8,000 RPM, no higher than that. I find if you use it higher, it can cause some sensitivity to the skin. So 8,000 absolute maximum, and how satisfying is that to see that bit of skin just flick away. And now we move on to shine removal, which I know has been a big topic of conversation recently. I'm here to say that I use a 180 grit. I have always used a 180 grit. In the whole time I've been using Light Elegance for over 8 years now. I've always used a 180 grit and I've always had fantastic retention with the products. I've never felt the need to use anything more. So stick with your 180 grits and you will get good results. The main thing is making sure that you're using a file and not a buffer, because a buffer makes the nail too smooth, doesn't give enough grip over the nail, and that you're using a new file for every client so you have that fresh grit to create that nice matte surface. Once that's complete, I cleanse the nails again, give them a really good scrub for about 5 seconds per nail to make sure the nail is really nice and clean. And don't forget that free edge, so under the free edge and also around the cuticle area. I like to just go in and push the skin back just once more before I start product application. This also means that you can just check that that area is really nice and clean, so you get a really clean finish with your product. It also means you're going to get the best adhesion. And then come in with cleanser on another wipe and just wipe around that skin where we have just gone back in with the cuticle pusher. Then we have my secret weapon, which is Airbond. Airbond is great primer. It cures with the moisture in the natural nail, so it doesn't need to go in the lamp, but it just creates that perfect surface for everything else to adhere really strongly to. And then everyone's favourite, Tack. This you want to make sure you apply really thinly. You can see I'm really scrubbing this into the nail and it's not too wet. So what I mean by that is I'm not just stroking it on like a base coat. You can see the texture of the natural nail through it, and you should feel stickiness as you are scrubbing this into the nail. It should feel tacky, as the name suggests, and this will create a really strong bond, and this will cure in the LED dot lamp for 60 seconds. I'm going to rebalance this nail today with One Step in Ideal Pink. It is just the most ideal shade for just a natural everyday kind of nail. If you don't want to put any colour on the top of it, this one is perfect. So I'm using the flat brush for this base layer, and then once I've cured that layer, I'll come in with my oval brush with the same Ideal Pink One Step to create my structure. So I am pushing the skin back again just so that I can make sure I get this layer really close to the cuticle so that it will look like there's literally no space between the product and the skin. So using my oval brush, creating a thin slip base layer, and then I'll add a dollop of gel to create the structure and the apex. And One Step is perfect for those of you who like the no file technique like I do. I love an excuse to get rid of a filing step, so One Step is perfect. It just self-levels like an absolute dream, and in this colour it's just perfection. So just applying that and allowing it to do its thing, and then once this is ready, I'll cure it for 60 seconds. Now, One Step is actually a base, builder and top all in one, so it finishes to a really beautiful high shine in itself. I'm just a bit OCD and I still like to put a top coat over it, so you do not have to do this step. You can literally just finish with the One Step and you're done. I'm just adding a layer of top gloss just to give myself an extra shine, and like I say, I'm just a bit OCD about the top coat step, so I'm doing it anyway, and I'll cure this for 60 seconds. Now that's cured, I'm going to file the free edge. You remember I mentioned earlier, I always file the free edge at the end. What this does is it creates a really strong edge which resists against lifts and chips, which people often find with natural nail overlays. So do not skip this step. Give it a really good file so you get around a credit card thickness at the very end of the free edge. Reshape the nail and you will have long lasting overlays that do not lift, chip or crack. And after all that, we're going to finish this beautiful nail with conditioning. So I'm applying the LEpro Cuticle Oil, just massaging that in all around the skin and underneath that free edge. And then I'm going to come in with Buffy again. So using the Buffy bit, I'm going to use this to further exfoliate the skin really gently, so I don't use this any higher than 7,000 RPM for this step. And what it does is it just removes any leftover dead skin, but also pushes the oil into that skin, so it gives you a really glowy finish, and your client is also left with really hydrated, moisturized skin that lasts for days. This is my absolute favorite step. If you have clients who have really dry skin around their nails, then you have to include this step for them. They will love you for it. And there you have your beautiful rebalanced nail that will last 3 to 4 weeks. Please don't go 6 weeks like I did, but you know, it's gonna last.